My name is Tabitha Searfoss, and I am the donor recruitment representative for LifeShare Community Blood Services. Those of you in this room may or may not know, Provia actually hosts a blood drive here just about every 8 weeks or at least 4 times a year. So you guys are welcome to come out. Our next drive is September 20th. And after today's information, we would love to see everyone. But I'm just here to give you a little bit of information and kind of background about blood banking and what we do and why we do. Why we're always asking people to donate blood and why it's so important. And then at the end, we'll have some questions, and I can give you guys some answers if there's anything that didn't get answered during the presentation today. So I brought up PowerPoint, so we'll kind of just go along with it. Do something amazing and save a life. I think saving a life is amazing, and although you may not know, one donation of blood actually saves or sustains up to 3 lives. And why do we ask you to do that? Well, LifeShare is a community-based program. We are here in Ohio, in Northeast Ohio. We supply Northeast Ohio. And nearly every community struggles to maintain a blood supply because we don't have enough blood donors. There's no substitute for the human blood. Now, you may have heard, through science that they're doing cell savers during surgery where they basically hook you up to a machine while you're in surgery, they filter your blood, and they give you your own blood back. Well, that's great if it's not a trauma and you didn't get in a car accident and your blood's all over the road, because it's not going to help you in the operating room to have a cell saver if you don't have the blood in your body to sustain yourself. So every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. It may be a child, maybe a family member, could be a total stranger, but every 2 seconds in America, somebody needs blood. 1 out of every 7 patients in the hospital will need blood. So you figure you take a hospital that has, thousands of patients, and 1 out of every 7 are going to get some type of blood product. It may not be red blood cells, it may be the platelets, it may be plasma, and you guys are probably looking at me like I have no clue what any of that is. So an automobile accident victim can use more than 100 pints of blood. 100 pints of blood takes more than 100 people to get, because 1 unit of blood is actually not from 1 person. That 1 unit of transfusible blood came from about 3 or 4 people to get that 1 unit. Who uses the blood? Do we sell it on the black market? No. We sell it to the hospitals for the cost that it cost us to get the blood. The blood is donated. We are nonprofit, so we are basically just covering the cost of the person drawing your blood, the testing of the blood, because we want to make sure that the blood is safe, so that the patients receive safe, adequate blood supply. So we have burn victims, heart patients, accidents, premature babies, cancer patients, surgical patients, pregnant women. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, there are so many people that use blood. For instance, Rachel was diagnosed with leukemia at just 5 years old. She required several blood transfusions combined with regular prescribed use of chemotherapy medications to save her life. While she received the last chemo treatment in June of 2003, some of Rachel's procedures had to be delayed because the blood was not readily available to her. Her story is one of many blood recipient accounts that prove just how important blood drives and blood donations are. I also have another example. I just did a replacement drive 2 weeks ago. The person that had this replacement drive is now in remission. She was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She was diagnosed 2 years ago. In order to sustain her life enough to even get the treatments, she stopped counting at 200 units of blood. 200 units one person got, and that was just to sustain her life enough that she could get the stem cell bone marrow transplant that came from a donor in Germany. The donor in Germany was a young man. He was about 22. He had 3 kids, and he had to drive 3 hours away from his home to a special hospital, stay for 2 days to do a stem cell donation, and the first one didn't take. So then 6 months later, she had multiple transfusions again to get her levels up enough that she could then have another stem cell transplant from the same donor from her match over in Germany. So even though there's millions of us here in the United States, it doesn't necessarily mean we're all a match for somebody. Sometimes it takes a lot of travel, a lot of dedication, a lot of testing in order to find that perfect match. So 38% of the population is eligible to give blood, but less than 10% actually do. And 4.5 million Americans die each year without blood transfusion, would die each year without blood transfusions. And there's a 1.98 million people are expected to be diagnosed with cancer in 2017 alone. Most will need blood during their chemotherapy. And the reason that they need blood during chemotherapy is because chemotherapy kills your cells. It kills every cell in your body so that it can fight the infection that you have. So it not only kills the good cells, but it kills the bad cells. So then they have to give you the red cells for obvious reasons, to get the oxygen to your organs, your platelets, which is what causes the scab on your skin so that you don't bleed out, and then they got to get plasma for volume replacement, because that's 3 of the components that are made up in 1 unit of whole blood. So 41 to 71% of the US residents will need a blood transfusion in their lifetime. They say by the age of 75, this 41 to 71% are going to need a transfusion. And you may not realize, it may not happen to you, it may happen to a family member, a friend, but until it really happens, we really don't think about the statistics of how many people need the blood. We just think, oh, well, there's blood banks, they'll have the blood for them. But we can't have the blood for them if we don't have the donors. So it takes 24 hours to replenish the lost fluid from your blood. Basically, the water, the plasma portion is the liquid portion of your blood. It's what keeps the blood moving smoothly throughout your veins. So if you drink lots of water, you're going to be well hydrated, you're going to have a good amount of plasma, and it's going to keep them cells moving smoothly throughout your veins. And it only takes 24 hours to get that back after a blood donation. But you're going to save 3 or sustain 3 lives. One person can do such an amazing thing and sustain lives. I mean, what more? I mean, I come to work and every day I save lives. But not just through me, but through you guys. Through you guys helping me help others. The number of times, 6 times, is how many times you can donate in a year. If you do it just right, if you time it out just right, you could probably get 8 in there if you donate like January 1st. So if you have a New Year's resolution, run out to the blood bank and donate blood so you can get that 8 times a year in instead of 6. So donations are used for many reasons. As I said before, premature infants, they get 1 to 4 units of red cells, and typically those are O negative, Rh negative blood units. Burn victims get 5 to 100 units of red cells, but they also get the plasma portion as well, which is the volume replacement, because when you're burned, you're severely dehydrated because of the heat. So they also get plasma donations as well. Sickle cell patients receive 10 to 20 units of red cells, and a heart patient, 3 to 8 units of red cells, 1 to 10 units of platelets, and 2 to 5 units of plasma. So red blood cells are used for surgery, premature accident victims. They can be refrigerated up to 42 days. Platelets are used for cancer and leukemia patients. Now, a platelet donation takes about an hour and a half. It's not done on our blood drives. It's done at our facilities. And these people typically come in every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever their schedule allows them. Platelets have a shelf life of 5 days. They have to be stored at room temperature, and they can only last 5 days. 5 days is not very long. So if I draw a unit of platelets today, I have 5 days to get them transfused. So if we don't have an adequate number of platelet donors every day, we wouldn't have an adequate number to supply the hospitals for all these cancer patients that are using them. Plasma is used for the burn victims, shock patients, can be used to control bleeding, and can be frozen for up to a year. Cryoprecipitate is a special type of cell that takes about 2.5 hours, takes medication from the donor in order to even collect it. It's a very special, only as needed procedure, and it's basically the white cells along with, it's kind of like a skimming off the top of the blood unit. It's really, really unique. The granulocytes is used for white blood cell therapy for fighting threatening bacterial fungal infections and are only collected on a doctor's order and used immediately within 24 hours. So those two, we have donors that are on call, and we call them and say, okay, in 3 days we need you to donate, so you need to start taking this prednisone to build up your white cells so that we can take some white cells without you getting sick. Blood types. So the first type is type O pos and O negative. And a really interesting thing is when we think of blood types, the positive and the negative, you can never give a positive person, you can never give a negative person's positive blood. You can't put a positive sign into a negative, but you can put a negative into a positive. So that's always something to remember. So O, as you can see, is the blood type, and underneath are all the blood types that it can be transfused into. So if you have O positive blood, you can give to O positive, A positive, B positive, AB positive. But if you have O negative blood, you can only receive from O negative. So 37% of the population have O positive, the most common blood type. Most needed by the patients, because if a trauma patient comes in and we don't know what their blood type is, they're not going to sit around and wait for the lab to draw the tubes and get the test results back. They're going to give them the O negative, because O negative is a universal, can go to anybody, so we're in the need of it most, but only 6% of the population even has O negative. So being the universal blood donor, if any of you, how many of you in here know your blood type? So about 5 people out of the 20-some people that are in here actually know their blood type. And I got a great way to find out what it is for free, is you donate blood at the next blood drive, and we'll send you a nice little card that says LifeShare, and it has your blood type on it, so that you can go around and tell everybody, hey, I have, now I'm O positive, so I can give to anyone who has positive blood. So A positive, a little bit slimmer, you can only give to A positive and AB positive. Now, if you're A negative, it's A positive, A negative, AB negative. And then with B, you can give to B or AB. Same thing, you can only do negative for everyone or positive to positive. AB positive, AB negative can only give to AB. So if you are AB negative, you can only receive O negative or AB negative. So your chances are really slim to make sure, that we have your blood on the shelf. That's why it's so important for everyone to give, because everyone in this room has a different blood type. So donors must be at least 18 years of age, 16 with parental consent, actually it's 16 and 17 now with parental consent, weigh at least 110 pounds, pass a physical health screening, which is very simple: blood pressure, temperature, pulse. Just make sure that you're feeling well and healthy the day of your donation. And as long as you meet all that criteria and your iron is high enough, you're eligible to donate. So what stops people from donating? I had people come up to me, they could be tattooed from the head to the toes, and tell me, I'm afraid of needles. Really? You're afraid of needles, and you had needles drug all over your skin, and you're telling me you're afraid of needles. So my response is, well, so is the cancer patient that's receiving this blood. They're tired of needles. They've had needles stuck in them for hours, days, weeks. They're tired of needles. So your one needle for 5, maybe 7 minutes is going to help them so that they don't have to have a needle in their arm for weeks. So we tell them, our phlebotomists do use the smallest needle possible. It is not the smallest needle ever, but it is the smallest needle possible. And if they ask, well, I want a smaller needle, we do have a procedure called the ALEX, which does a double unit of red cells. The unique thing about ALEX is it actually draws your blood, separates your plasma from your platelets, from your red cells, gives you back your platelets and plasma, and we just keep the red cells. Now with an ALEX, we get 2 transfusible units of red cells off of one donor. And what's good about that is the person receiving the blood is getting 2 units from one person versus 2 units from 6 people. And that reduces the it rejecting it having any problems. So it just narrows it down. It's like more of a purified blood donation. So tips for a successful donation. As I stated, you have to have a good iron level. We test your iron before each donation, so if you're not high enough, we're not going to let you donate. We don't want you to leave tired or not feeling well yourself, so we have to make sure you have enough to give as well. A good night's sleep. Ensure that you drink plenty of water, extra water, both immediately before and prior to your donation. Eat a healthy iron-rich meal before donation. Avoid the fatty foods. And wear clothing with sleeves accessible for a donation, because you do have to roll your sleeve, pretty far up on your arm. Some other reasons to donate blood is the first one, you're saving lives. The second one is we have really cool rewards now. We have a rewards store that every time you donate, you earn points, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And it's also in the pamphlets that you guys received. Our rewards store, you can turn things into your donation points into gift cards, t-shirts. You can donate your points, which will give a monetary donation to like United Way, your local blood bank. If you don't find anything cool in there that you want to go eat or purchase. You can also do movie tickets. And who doesn't like free cookies? Free snacks, free juice. We bring salty snacks, sugary snacks to every blood drive so that you are well hydrated and get to eat before you leave. So, earning points. So, a whole blood donation gets 100 points. Platelet donations get 200 and doubles get 300 because it takes a little longer. You can earn more points by making appointments online, which we have that in the pamphlet as well, which is lifeshare.cc. Once you reach gold level donation, you get an extra 100 points. Loyalty, you get another 200 points. Plus, we throw bonus ones in there. If we have a blood drive in the summer, you donate in the summer, it's an extra 200 points. We have loyalty points. Say you donated this year and you donate next year. We're like, well, thanks for coming back. We appreciate your donation again. We may throw in bonus points. We ask people at least to give 3 times a year. If you hit your 3 times, we'll throw in bonus points. During certain times of the year that we're having a hard time collecting, Thanksgiving, Christmas, summer, we'll throw in extra bonus points just to kind of incentivize, you guys coming in and donating. It helps you get closer to your rewards for your gift cards, and they add up pretty fast. So currently our rewards are gift cards for Amazon, restaurants, movie tickets. They're all e-gift cards. So you get them in your email within 72 hours. So you're not waiting. If you order a t-shirt, it does take longer. It doesn't come from us directly. Occasionally, we'll even give out t-shirts at the drive. So one more thing we have new is for our new donors, anyone who has not donated blood with us in the past and comes out to the blood drive, say September 20th, and donates here at Provia, you'll also get a really cool water bottle for being a first-time donor. So we try to give out incentives as much as possible, and in hopes that you guys would come out and help us save lives. So I want to turn it over to you now and ask, are there any questions, anything that I did not answer